The movie begins with a father and his daughter who sit together at the playground, the distant laughter of other children filling the air. The father turns to his daughter, his voice gentle as he asks how her mom mentioned she wanted to tell him something. The girl hesitates. She tells him about the day he let her ride her bike to practice. Before she can say more, he interrupts, his tone shifting to concern, and asks if she rode through the storm drain by the old mine. He worriedly asks if something happened there. She quickly shakes her head, denying, and says how she just scared herself. For a moment he studies her, his expression unreadable. Then, his voice softens, and he wonders if that is why she started carrying Bunny Bear again. The scene transitions to nighttime as the father heads to the shed to work on something. As he begins, the lights suddenly flicker and start shutting off one by one. Meanwhile, his daughter, now frightened, calls out for him. A strange noise comes from inside the shed, drawing her in. As she steps inside, she hears someone coughing and soon discovers her father, completely paralyzed. Before she can react, an unseen figure emerges from behind, forcefully grabbing her face and crushing her body to fit inside a bag before zipping it shut. The scene then shifts to a different family. Patrick, looking exhausted, tells his wife Karina that he had a restless night due to hearing strange noises in the backyard. Later, he meets with his brother Liam to present a prototype of his project, explaining that he is searching for an investor. However, financial difficulties persist as his previous loans remain unpaid. That night, Patrick steps outside to take out the garbage when the lights begin flickering, and a noise catches his attention. He pauses, listening carefully, and hears another sound coming from the woods. Gripped by curiosity, he grabs a flashlight and cautiously ventures in to investigate. As he moves through the trees, the rustling of bushes nearby makes him tense. Slowly, he approaches and peers behind them, only to find an animal. Patrick, startled, panics and runs back. A flashback reveals teenage Patrick and Liam crashing into the storm drain. Despite Patrick's nervous warning about their father's disapproval, Liam proceeds. They find an entrance, but Patrick, scared, urges Liam to return home. Noticing a wild plum tree, Patrick recalls his grandpa's words about its soft wood for carving and starts breaking a branch. Liam cautions him about being too close to the entrance, but Patrick taunts him for being scared. Suddenly, the tree falls. As Patrick moves closer to cut a branch, he hears an eerie sound but ignores it. Just then, someone silently approaches Patrick from behind, holding a pair of scissors. Without warning, the stranger swiftly cuts a patch of Patrick's hair. A sudden weakness overtakes him, and he collapses to the ground. The carved owl he had been holding slips from his grasp, landing beside him. As he lies there, his breath quickens. His eyes dart toward the entrance ahead, where an eerie sound echoes from within, filling him with dread. The scene then shifts to Karina, who is trying to focus on her work, while Jakey repeatedly plays the flute. The persistent noise frays her patience, and in frustration, she snaps at him. Almost instantly, guilt washes over her, and she softens, apologizing before asking him to stop. Just then, Jakey's attention is drawn elsewhere. A child's laughter drifts in from the woods, light and playful. His eyes widen as he spots a wooden doll in the distance, its small hand moving in a slow wave, beckoning him forward. Mesmerized, he follows it, stepping into the forest. Moments later, Karina glances up and realizes Jakey is no longer where he had been. Her heart pounds as panic sets in. Frantically, she calls out his name, scanning the area. With no sign of him, she rushes toward the woods, fear gripping her with every step. Meanwhile, Jakey continues playing the flute as he follows the doll deeper into the trees. As Jakey delves deeper into the woods, Karina finally spots him. They are about to leave when a strange noise comes from the tree. Although they don't see anything, a hand appears from behind it as they walk away. Later, in Patrick's workshop, an email arrives informing him that his loan extension has been denied. Angrily slamming his hand on the table, he breaks his carving tool and throws it into the trash. Noticing Jakey talking to someone on the monitor, he goes to Jakey's room and asks who he is speaking to. Jakey replies that he is talking to Dolly. Patrick tucks Jakey into bed and opens the window, thinking a moth might have flown in. Something hits the window, startling Patrick, who quickly closes it and draws the curtain. Outside, the lights flicker, and a noise comes from downstairs. Investigating, Patrick hears a knock on the door. Believing it's the window, he tries to close it. Suddenly, a clacking noise from outside draws Patrick's attention away from his room. Karina questions his actions, and he expresses concern about a possible intruder, urging her to listen to the peculiar zipping sound reminiscent of a bag being opened or closed. Karina decides to investigate, but their attention is abruptly shifted to Jakey's cries following a loud noise. Patrick immediately rushes to Jakey's room, then heads downstairs to check out the situation, instructing Karina to remain indoors. Downstairs, Patrick notices the front door standing ajar. A chill runs through him as he steps outside, his eyes scanning the darkness. His voice is firm as he challenges whoever might be lurking nearby to show themselves. Just then, a distinct sound echoes from the woods, the unmistakable noise of a zipper being pulled. The eerie sound startles him, triggering a flood of old memories rushing back to the surface. His breathing becomes unsteady as the past collides with the present. Karina suddenly emerges from the house, her presence snapping him back to reality. Before he can speak, a low guttural growl rumbles from the depths of the woods. Patrick tenses, his instincts screaming at him to stay alert. The scene then shifts to the following morning. An investigative team is now at the house. Patrick stands before the investigating officer, explaining that the doors had been locked the night before. An officer inquires about a spare key outside, which Karina confirms and shows him. The officer suspects a thief, but Karina questions the lack of stolen items. The officer advises a thorough check for missing belongings. Later, Jakey plays the flute while Patrick cleans his trash can and discovered the carved owl he'd lost in the storm drain. Karina denies knowing about the owl, but asks Patrick to hide the flute due to its irritating sound. Patrick agrees and places it in the storeroom. During Jakey's bath, he requests his flute, and Patrick retrieves it, asking if Jakey is okay. Jakey confirms he is okay, but the lights flickers, and he wonders if it is Dolly. Patrick searches the storeroom but can't find the flute. Suddenly, a doll knocks on the window. The door slams shut, and Jakey doesn't respond to Patrick's repeated calls. Panicked, Patrick runs to the bathroom. Patrick and Karina find Jakey safe in the bathroom after someone opens the window. Later, Patrick can't find the flute in the garbage and receives a notification about the alarm system. He reactivates it and notices movement in the garage. Investigating with a flashlight, he finds a wooden doll wearing his childhood cap. The doll laughs, and Patrick throws it away in shock. The door is locked, and the spare key is missing. Patrick tries to break in but fails. He then sees someone inside playing the flute. Panicked, he breaks the door glass to enter, but finds no one inside. The day after the storm, an officer investigates the scene and questions Patrick about any missing items. Patrick reports Jakey's flute as stolen, recalling that he heard it played the previous night. Later, Patrick visits Liam and shows him the recovered carved owl, now found in his trash bin, along with his old cap. Concerned, Liam suggests that Patrick revisit Barbara, his childhood psychiatrist. Simultaneously, at a playground, Jakey approaches Karina with sketches, claiming they are from Dolly. Karina, alarmed, rushes toward Jakey, only to discover a creature with him in the playbox. As the creature unzips a bag to stuff Jakey inside, Patrick jolts awake from the terrifying nightmare. The following morning, Barbara and Karina discussed Patrick's childhood phobia. A flashback revealed young Patrick and his dad walking deep into the woods towards a storm drain. His dad explained that the place used to belong to a mining company, but now it belonged to Bagman. Patrick asked who Bagman was, and his dad described him as someone who searched for children to stuff into his awful sack. Patrick, believing it was a story to scare naughty children, was quickly corrected by his dad. Bagman, he explained, wanted the good kids, the dreamers. His dad's insistence on scaring Patrick left a lasting impression. Later, Anna arranged a hotel date for Patrick and Karina, promising to look after Jakey for the evening. During the date, Karina questioned Patrick about his experience with Liam at the mine. He recounted feeling someone cut a lock of his hair, explaining that it was so Liam would always know where to find him. Then, in a flashback, Patrick's father advises him that Bagmen cannot touch anyone as long as they have their carving tool. He explains that a child's love can be magical and becomes a part of them. As long as Patrick keeps the tool close to his heart, Bagmen can't touch him. Karina, worried about the missing flute, questions if that was the one thing that could protect Jakey. The scene then shifts to Anna's apartment. There, Anna observes Jakey sleeping peacefully via a monitor. Suddenly, a strange noise disrupts the quiet, causing her to drop the monitor. Concerned, she checks on Jakey and contacts security to investigate any disturbances on her floor. The security guard assures her that nothing unusual is visible on the cameras. Abruptly, the lights flicker and then go out, cutting off her attempt to contact security again and rendering her phone useless. Moments later, persistent knocking echoes from the door. Arming herself with pepper spray, Anna cautiously approaches the door and peers through the peephole, only to see the bagman on the other side. To her horror, the lock starts turning independently. Panicking, Anna runs inside, grabs a knife, picks up Jakey, and hides inside a wardrobe. A tense silence follows, broken by approaching footsteps. Anna watches in terror as the bagman moves around the room. Suddenly, he opens the wardrobe door and grabs Anna's face. Then, he approaches Jakey with the scissors. As he pulls down Jakey's blanket, the scene cuts. Patrick and Karina arrive at the scene, where an officer hands Jakey over to Patrick. The officer informs him of a similar case from years ago, involving a missing girl named Emily, whose father displayed symptoms like Anna's. He assures Patrick that his family will receive full security. Later, Patrick, Anna, and Karina are at Liam's house. While everyone sleeps, a strange noise from the monitor awakens Patrick. The bagman is on screen. Patrick rushes to Jakey's room and finds the bagman has paralyzed Liam and his wife. The bagman is fleeing with Jakey trapped in a bag. Patrick chases the bagman through the streets and into the woods, following him to a storm drain. The bagman carries Jakey inside. Patrick yells for him to stop, and then cautiously enters the drain, following Jakey's cries through a narrow tunnel. He finds a room dimly lit by candles, with nests containing binoculars and other toys. Behind a curtain, a bag hangs ominously. Inside is a wooden doll. Jockey's voice is coming from the doll. Patrick has been trapped. At Liam's house, Karina realizes that Jakey is still inside. The bagman hasn't come for Jakey, but for Patrick. Meanwhile, Patrick, unwavering in his resolve, challenges the bagman to reveal himself. A low, menacing growl echoes through the room in response. Without warning, the bagman emerges from the shadows, grabbing Patrick from behind and hurling him violently across the room. Dazed and immobilized, Patrick lies there, his body paralyzed with fear as he watches in horror. From a narrow slit in the wall, the bagman slowly steps forward, his dark presence looming closer. In his gnarled hands, the bagman holds a nest. Patrick's voice trembles as he asks why it has come for him now. Instead of answering, the bagman produces a familiar object, Patrick's broken carving tool. At that moment, memories surge through Patrick's mind. He recalls his father's words, a lesson spoken long ago, to always keep this tool close to his heart, never to lose or discard it. The bagman places the nest aside and reaches for something else, Jakey's flute. Lifting it to his lips, he begins to play, the melody eerie and haunting. The scene flashes to the past, where Patrick's father speaks, with quiet conviction. He says the only thing that gives him comfort at night is the belief that there is something good out there, far more powerful than all the bad things, something that loves and watches over them. Back in the present, the bagman slowly unzips the bag. Patrick knows this is his only chance. Summoning every ounce of strength, he grips the broken carving tool and drives it deep into the bagman's neck. The creature recoils, thrashing in agony. Though he attempts to retaliate, the wound weakens him, forcing him to retreat back into the narrow slit in the wall. Patrick, panting and struggling against his own pain, tries to escape. In the distance, the sound of sirens wailing offers a fleeting sense of relief. But just as he catches his breath, the bagman suddenly lunges from above. Desperate, Patrick grabs the flute and hurls it outside. His heart pounds as the bagman looms closer. With one final attempt to divert the creature's attention, Patrick shouts, saying that it's him that it wants. The bagman closes in, his clawed hand reaching forward, then grabs Patrick's face. Patrick desperately fights back and pulls off the bagman's hood, revealing a monstrous face. The bagman overpowers Patrick, crushing his body and forcing him into the bag. Patrick's head is pushed inside, and the bagman zips the bag shut. The scene cuts to the security team arriving with Karina. They find the flute on the ground, and Karina tearfully recognizes it as Jakey's. She cries out for Patrick, overwhelmed with grief and despair. Later, Jakey plays while Karina prepares to leave the house. Anna offers a glimmer of hope, reminding Karina that Patrick's body hasn't been found. Karina and Jakey continue their journey. She hands him the flute and asks how much he loves it. Jakey responds enthusiastically. Karina tells him that his dad wanted to share a secret. A child's love is magical. Keep it close to your heart, and it will always protect you. With those parting words, they continue their journey, and the film ends.